There we go. Oh my goodness, I had to find the right one. Hey there, Joomla fans. Tim Davis here. I'm a Joomla fan too. Thanks for tuning in to Watch Me Work live stream number 208 here on the Basic Joomla Tutorials YouTube channel, where I show you my favorite extensions, tools, and tips for building and maintaining Joomla sites. So build Joomla sites, maintain them, migrate them to Joomla 4. So if you're looking to hire someone short-term, long-term, or to get you out of a spot, send me an email, tim@cybersalt.com. Today's video is brought to you by our channel sponsor, mysites.guru. Do you have a Joomla site? Of course you do. Otherwise, why would you be watching this? Of course, if you don't, you're welcome to watch. Head on over to mysites.guru, get a free site audit for your Joomla site, and while you're there, check out all the tools and information that will save you time and money managing one or multiple Joomla sites. All right, now, you will see we've got two faces on the screen, one good-looking one and me. I'm excited to welcome Yannick Gaultier to the live stream today, and didn't talk about this before, but Yannick, you are the person who has been a guest on my live stream the most of anybody in the Joomla world, or the rest of the world. So yeah,
I am honored. I think it's only the second time though, right?
No, I think it's the third time. You did four podcasts, and then probably I think it was probably
podcast too.
For SEO or for anyways. That's good. That's I'm desperate for attention, and you're obviously desperate for friends. So, anyways, everybody, and hi to everybody who's in chat. Let's see. I think Bjorn. There's Ivor, Bjorn. I don't know what Bjorn has just typed. Damn in the bam hee hee. I don't know what that is, but that might be Norwegian. Who knows? Anyways, as we know, it is the wild, wild west for AI, artificial intelligence. There's all kinds of uses for it, and it's really interesting to see how it's starting to pop up in Joomla. And today, Yannick is going to show us his latest Joomla extension for AI. And I know you just did this, you just showed this at Joomla Day Netherlands, but you've done a whole bunch of work since then as well on it, right?
Yeah, there's always a little bit of work happening at all time, especially for new extensions like that, and on a topic such as AI, which is evolving every day. I mean, it's not evolving every day, but we figure out things we can do with it literally every day. So yeah, it's changing all the time.
Hey, now I've never asked you this, but why the 4 in all of your...
Oh, okay.
In all of your, I mean, you got to do something, right? So why the 4 in your extension names?
There's kind of a story. So the backstory is that for 15 years, it's actually still available. I developed and offered to people in the Joomla world SH404 which was an all-in-one extension for Ceph URLs and SEO in general. And the one thing it had for it was that it was, I believe, a very good SEO extension. And the one thing it had against it was that the name was terrible. It was horrible, and nobody could spell it, nobody could write it in any language. So it was terrible for historical reason. That was just the name I picked when I saved the very first file in 2005 for this extension. So I just picked a name and I added initials and that sort of thing. So it was interesting. So when I started working on for SEO, I decided that I wanted a name that was really simple, that everybody could pronounce, and that had a small meaning, but not necessarily very simple. And then I picked the for something scheme, because it was simple, and the 4 is kind of a reminder of SH404 Ceph, which is why it's because of SH404 Ceph that I'm here today or tonight, or because without it I would never have been involved in Joomla really, so, or at least not for so much time. So that's the backstory. It's a 4, and then it's kind of handy because you can have for Ceph, for SEO, for podcast, for AI now, and there are, I have more ideas than time to create the corresponding things. So that's it.
Cool. It just dawned on me that I'd never asked that, or never even wondered that. There was a day when it was really important for you to have a domain that would help you in your search engine results. but now it's everything else that you do and build. And I guess it's the same thing with building a brand like you have. You just go with something, be consistent. And although had you used like a 6-digit number, it might have been confusing for people. So
Probably.
all right, well, go ahead. Now I'm going to, you go ahead and share your screen and start. And
Yep.
I'm going to see if I can, let's see.
Okay, I have started to share my screen now.
Okay, and I can see you full screen. And I'm going to move
Yeah,
me
you still
off to the side.
you
And
still see my head. That's good. So
yeah, and I don't think I can remove the toolbar at the bottom since this is Zoom, but
yeah, I have that toolbar, but I don't think either I can.
yeah,
can
that's
move it.
well,
Yeah,
that's okay.
That's mine.
on
That's
my
not
screen.
mine. So yeah, I can't do a thing about it. Sorry.
Hey, no problem.
I don't think
Take
it's
her away.
I think it's fine. I think it's fine. So I thought I would start with a few slides just to give context. We all use the term AI, and I thought it would be interesting to recap a little bit the story because AI has been around for quite a long time, but it's only been recently that it's become mainstream, and we really started thinking about using it. So, and that's how for AI came about, maybe 3 months ago or something, because I figured I could start to actually do something useful with it. Like many people attending here and around the world, they started actually using AI. So what is it that we call AI these days? It's all descendant from one original idea, which originated from Google around 2017, and it's a process called, or a technology called transformers. Obviously, there were things before, and transformers are in evolution, but that's really the starting point for this whole AI thing. It started by what they wanted to do really is get better at translating text. Obviously, Google needs to understand many different languages, and they wanted to provide that. And then in 2018, there was BERT, another algorithm from Google, which started to be able to predict what the next sentence in a series was going to be, and they used that for classification. Then in 2018, GPT happened, and that was the start of generating word. So instead of starting to or predicting sentence, they started predicting word by word, and that's when they could start to generate text and generate translation with it. And there were, up until, let's say, between 2018 and 2022, all of that was mostly internal tools to large companies, Google mostly, but also other companies, that it was used for speech recognition and translation. But then last year, we started seeing tools for developers initially, like Tab9 and GitHub Copilot, and there were a few others that were starting to be able to do various tasks and generate code on behalf of programmers. And then later in the year, we started seeing the image generators, DALL-E first, and then Stable Diffusion and Midjourney. And the interesting thing is that it's actually the same technology that's used for generating text and for generating images. It's really the same thing. And then at the end of November last year, ChatGPT appeared, and that's when it all started, because the general public was able from that point to actually talk and chat with something that feels like it's intelligent. It's actually not, but you can actually talk. You can talk to it, and it replies, and what it says makes sense until it doesn't make sense anymore. But it's mostly works. So very shortly, how does ChatGPT work? It works by trying to predict the next word in a series. It's not really word that it works with, but it's similar to a word. So you ask a question, and it's going to say, I don't know, how to do a website with Joomla, and then it's going to figure out from all the data it's seen during its training. It's going to figure out that if you ask a question like how to do a website with Joomla, the next word or the first word in the response is going to be maybe the, and then the best way to do, and so on. So it's only predicting one word after the other, or one token after the other. So it's purely statistical. But because the training data is so huge, the volume of data is so huge, it actually works very surprisingly well. We now have the fourth version of GPT, which is by OpenAI, the startup that created it or made it public. It's still today in limited availability. It's probably the best one available. But they do provide an API, which is a resource we can use to use the same technology as they do in ChatGPT. And that's where it started really for us to click, because we could, when they started to provide us with an API, we could start building products that use this API and use the technology inside other things than ChatGPT. I wanted to finish that small presentation by mentioning that what can we expect, because everybody's saying that SEO is dead and that search engines are going to be working quite differently very soon, maybe that Google is dead. And I don't think that's going to happen, because we'll see that later how ChatGPT is actually working and the results it can give, but it's really not a search engine, and you still need search engines to get the data. But they are going to use that technology to present results in a more or an easier way to handle. Bing already started to do that, but it's not really successful for them. So the conclusion I draw from all of that is that even if search engines are going to be using generative interfaces, natural language to present you results, if you're a Joomla website owner, you still need to be part of the results. So you still need to do SEO, and you still need to be found, and you still need to be preferred by search engines. Here is a slide or a picture of what Google is starting to do. Not that many people, I think it's limited to the US and maybe another or a few other countries, but not everybody is having this sort of results. This is how they are going to present results using ChatGPT-like technology. It already started in the US and in a few countries. So it's still a search engine, and if you have a Joomla website and you want to be part of the results, you still need to be doing SEO. So that's how I got around to finding the idea that we could already use AI and the API provided by OpenAI to do things for Joomla. The assessment I made of what such an API could do, I summarized here. And what I have found, and maybe you have found that by using ChatGPT yourself, is that when you try to create content with them, it's a mixed bag. You've got some good results and you've got some bad results. It really depends on how what you are asking them to do and how you are asking them. How you ask is really important. They are excellent at translation. Translation to me is like a solved problem. It's really solved problem for at least for in the context of websites. They are also pretty good at anything that's dealing with text processing, like writing summaries, description, title, shortening text. They are not so good at expanding or restyling content. Again, it's kind of hit and miss. And the reason is that, again, we are back at when you want to expand a text to make it longer, then you need to create new content. And that's where they can be right and can be wrong as well sometimes. And there's another thing they can do very well. It's search. But that's not something I have added to for AI yet, because and I won't, probably at least not in the immediate future, because search augmented by artificial intelligence cannot run with the usual database we are using with Joomla, like MySQL or Postgres or things like that. It needs a special type of database to store data and actually retrieve data, which is called a vector database. So you absolutely need an external service to provide you with this database.
I think Joomla 7 is supposed to move to a vector database, right?
Yeah, maybe or 8 or
Okay.
who knows. Yeah, no, that's not going to happen. But it could happen right away because simply you need to have an external service.
Okay.
You need to have those providers. At Joomla Day USA, we had such a database provider called Weaviate, and we had one person from Weaviate presenting the bare bones solution to bring this kind of search performance to Joomla by using their database. So I think it's going to happen, and I'm going to work on that pretty soon, I think. Last word, again, that's personal opinion, but I think the future for AI tools like that is to be trained on your own data, to build a knowledge base, to preserve the know-how of your company or organization, to do training. Currently, ChatGPT and all the likes are trained on general data, publicly available information available on the internet, but they don't know nothing about all the data you have on your website or in your organization. So I think it's going to be an important step to take for the future. Similar to that, you are going likely to be able to use that internally, either inside your intranet, for your own people, for your own employees or partners or subcontractors, or also for your customers, a chatbot. Everybody is dreaming about having a chatbot running on your website which can guide your customers properly in natural language. And I also wanted to mention that there are some smaller open source models and training data sets that can be used. They have the benefit that you can run them yourselves. They are much smaller though, and so to be honest, in my testing so far, they're not exactly there up with the big guys, with OpenAI, ChatGPT, or Google Bard, or things like that. But it's probably going to happen. So after the talking, here is 4AI. I'm going to just say a word about it and then start the demo. Why did I decide to do such a plugin? There were already a couple of plugins available for Joomla, but basically all of them were like just a small interface to ChatGPT, something similar. You could ask a question and you get a response, and often you could create content, like you could paste back, or you can paste back the content created into the Joomla editor, and it's basically stopped there. I think prompting, that is writing these questions, is really hard to get good results, and it can be really tedious. And I don't think there was an article recently about that. I haven't put the link here, but there's somebody who wrote that much better than I can put it. That the interface in ChatGPT, where you ask questions and you get response and you start again that process, is not the future for artificial intelligence, because it's too limited. It's too hard, it's not consistent, and it's too limited. So I came up with the ideas that there were a few things you could do with a guided prompting. That is, instead of having to type instructions for ChatGPT and AI, you could mostly click buttons to perform various actions. And this is what I've done. So the actions, again, we are at version 2, so it's still a bit limited, but it's already covering, I think, quite a wide spectrum of things. So we can transform content. These are the 2 axes. I think I'm missing one slide, actually. There are 4 axes. We can transform content, spelling, grammar, change the style, rewrite for keywords. We can create new content. And then there's a third item, which is to work on social elements, like writing Facebook posts or tweeting. And there's a fourth element, which is SEO. There are several tasks related to SEO that we can work with. So unless there is, I haven't checked the chat, but
no, that's good. Hey, everybody watching the video, if you want to give this video a like right now while it's live, that will probably help get it promoted to other Joomla type people. One note that I did make though. You mentioned it was Google 2017 that they in 2017 Google did Transformers.
Yep.
Do you know about the Transformers movies?
Yeah, it's definitely not the movies. I
No,
can
but
tell you.
I just remember because when I was a kid, there was a cartoon, and the opening song was Transformers, robots in disguise. So
Yeah.
they're coming for us. But until
Yeah.
they wipe us out, let's use it for good and make some money from it too. But
So if you look at it from this angle, I could agree that we all have to be very, very careful, because now we know that transformers are at the origin of ChatGPT and all these AI talk. So yeah, there's that. There's that. Are we more in danger than we thought? But I believe there are some good transformers. They are not all bad, right?
that's right.
Yeah.
The one thing I noticed is with some of the hearings going on in the States, I think that this is the first new technology that's come along where the people developing it have actually been recommending restrictions on it and government restrictions and things like that, which is interesting. Usually you come up with something that's new and really is going to change everything, and nobody wants it restricted. Now the people who know most about it are saying, "Hey, we should probably be restricting this." So,
Yeah, it's a difficult thing. I think it's really one of these technologies or one of these things where there are good aspects. It's like social networks in a way. There are some good things and bad things, and with AI, I think the problem is that it's even more complex and hard to regulate than social networks, which is, it's not regulating social networks and only having the good parts of social networks is not easy. But I believe for AI is going to be, or is already, and is going to be harder to properly use and prevent the bad uses. So what I'm trying to do is just use what I can at our level and use it for good, something useful. But honestly, I don't know what's going to happen in 6 months. Even just 6 months, we don't know. We don't know.
Okay, take her away. So, demo time.
So I'm going to switch to this overview. So so I'm here in a demo site. I'm just going to reload the page to be sure I'm not logged out. This is a standard Joomla website, Joomla 4 website. I'd just like to mention that it works the same in Joomla 3 or Joomla 4, doesn't matter. So we have the component for AI. You install it. You have a component, but the component just basically display a few statistics, like a nice graph, like what we have here. And the only thing you need to do, and it's worth mentioning, is that after you install it, is to go to API providers, because this extension is not something that works on its own. You need to, it's basically a gateway to using OpenAI, the makers of ChatGPT, their API, their service, so that we can ask them questions and get reply from them. So this is not free. I'll get back to that. You'll see that later on. It's not free. You have to pay. ChatGPT is free, and you have a free version, and you have a paid-for version, $20 a month, I think. But the API, you have to pay. Every single question you ask, you have to pay for it. So you'll need to open an account there. You probably already have one, and you need to put up a credit card. I think they have a free credit for some dollars. But you need that, and you'll get a secret key. We have all the information on how to get your secret key from your OpenAI account on our website. And you just paste the secret key here, and that's pretty much everything, or the only thing you need to do in the component. So because the key element for AI is this little thing here that you have, and you can move around to wherever you like. And that's what's triggering your assistant, and we call that an assistant. And you are able that way to open it, or you can open it either by clicking on it or using a keyboard shortcut from anywhere you are inside of Joomla. So inside of an article edit page, which is the most often, but also from when editing a Virtumart product description or Hikashop product description or JBusiness directory content, whatever. So at any point you can just use Control-Shift-5 to hide the icon and Control-Shift-4 to open. Yeah, not working as usual. It's a demonstration. So I don't know what's happening. Yeah, it's opening now for some reason. Okay, it's working now.
Well,
anyway,
your computer, when you're streaming, your computer's doing a lot of stuff. So
probably that has to do with it. So you have that interface that you can pop up at any time, and I just wanted to mention I'll be staying in the admin, but I would like to mention also that if you're on the front end, I have a very interesting article here on how to wash your laundry, and if you start editing that article on the front end, then the 4AI icon is there, and you can open it. Okay, I'll show you that in the admin, but I'm just mentioning that it works the same on the front end. So the first thing I'm going to show to you is basically that's the main use, is to work with content. So I'm going to head over to my article list, but again, this can be anything else. And I'm going to open this, can I bleach that? How to safely whiten clothes at home, which I'm sure everybody is thrilled to learn about. So when you're working on an article, here we already have some content, but it doesn't have to be, can be empty. You can open the icon, the 4AI assistant, to work on it. So I'm going to start with transforming content, because I believe this is one of the most interesting things you can do. So if you open 4AI when on a with an editor open, you'll get the assistant interface, and the assistant interface will already be filled in with the content of the editor here. So the interface is there's quite a bit happening here, but it's actually rather simple. You've got 4 types of actions, things you can do with your content. You can transform existing content, you can create new content, you can do SEO actions, you can work on social networks, also something really interesting, something they are AI is pretty good at. And we just recently, that's why we have version 2.0, you have a chat feature where you can just chat like you would in ChatGPT. I'm going to put that aside rather quickly because it's just a shortcut. You probably want to just use ChatGPT instead of that most of the time, but it's convenient to have that by your side. So here are a few actions. So we start by transforming content, and I have defined a few actions that I believe are A, useful, and B, the AI is decently correct at doing. You can spell and check grammar. The wording is not entirely correct because it's actually more than that. It will rewrite content so that it's correct. So it doesn't not only look at spelling and grammar, but it can rewrite content to be more correct. You can shorten. You have an article that's too long, you can shorten it. You can expand it some content is just an outline, or it's maybe a little bit too short. You can ask ChatGPT or the 4AI to expand it. You can have summary. You're doing a presentation, you want a summary of something, click here and you get summary. You can restyle, rewrite for keywords, I'll get into that, and you can translate. Here you've got, that's where you're going to define what you want to do. And here you have that control board or panel where you'll see some numbers. The numbers are the tokens and the cost. We are computing here what's called the number of tokens. ChatGPT and the API behind it only works on a limited number of tokens. Tokens is basically a little bit less than a word. When the AI is working on this kind of content, it's going to split it up in bits. Not exactly words, but something similar to words. So, and they charge you by the token or by the 1,000 token. So that's why we integrated a counter that tells you how many tokens you are using. The answer the question you are asking, the length of the question you are asking counts, and the length of the reply they're sending to your question counts. And the total must be below a certain limit, which is usually 4,000 tokens. To get back to pricing and the fact that it costs, yes, it does cost from the very first word you ask for, or the very first question you ask, but it's rather a low cost. As you can see here, spelling this entire bit of text, which is not very long, but it's still a pretty usual piece of content, which is 1,600 tokens. So maybe it's I don't know, 300 words or something like that. The cost is going to be $0.00333. So again, the cost is very small, and you can work easily. Like when I'm developing and I do quite a number of requests, I usually pay $1 or $2 per month at most, and I've been doing that for a few months. So it's really quite okay in terms of cost. And the last part of the UI that we're going to show very briefly is the more options here, which gives you more options if you want to give more control. And the options that are available are obviously dependent on the action you want to take here. So if you are spelling, you have some additional options. If you do shortening, you have some other ones. If you do translating, you have other things, and so on. So I'm going to try and stay on the lesser options to make things more clear. And okay, so I'm going to show you a couple of functions here about transforming. The one thing I want to mention before we start, and that's not obvious, is that the API is really slow. So the more text you ask them or content you ask them to create, the longer it takes. If you ask them to write something that's like a title that's only a few, maybe 20 words, it's going to be fast. It's going to be a few seconds. If you want them to write an entire blog post, it may take a minute or a minute and a half. Before, let's say, like early January up to until January, they were pretty quick. A few seconds for even very heavy work, but at about that time they probably became very overloaded with customers and users, and things have slowed down. So we expect that in a few in the coming month is going to get better, but it's still perfectly usable, and you're going to see that, but it's still pretty slow. To fight that, I have recorded some requests, and I'm going to show you some requests live, but I'm also going to show you some recorded requests or responses so that we don't waste too much time with that. So let's start just with this example. I have this article about bleaching, how bleaching works, or what the dangers of it, and I have I did a couple of errors, like double Y here, and also some poor English, which is absolutely incorrect, and hopefully they'll try and identify. So once you have your content here and you want to ask it to spell it or transform it in any way, you just click the submit request button, and as you can see, what's happening is that we haven't written any question to ChatGPT or to the API. We haven't asked, please check the spelling of this or that, and so on. So that's the whole idea of this extension. It's that we want the prompting to be guided, because some people are going to be really okay to write prompts that are going to get them the results they want, and some are not going to be okay. And that's the problem with the slowness. Now I need to speak for another 20 seconds to get the result. So I'm going to switch pretty soon to recorded request. But again, considering what it does, it's quite okay, and it varies also a lot. We are not at a good time because I believe all the US people are online right now, or starting to get online, and it's probably the slowest part of the slowest time of the day.
Well, we have a couple of questions. Anna asks, should she create separate keys for different apps or extensions, or just use a single key? Because you have multiple keys in ChatGPT, right?
Yeah, you can create as many keys as you want, but I'm not sure why, Anna, you are referring to different apps or extensions. So if you have multiple extensions that use the OpenAI API, yes, I would suggest that you get multiple, or you use different keys so that you know how many tokens are used. What's the usage for each extension separately. If you use several extensions that use OpenAPI, yeah, it would make sense. It would be easier.
Okay, and how will 4AI work if the site language is not English? She's asking since she knows prompting works best in English.
Yeah. The thing is, you're not going to prompt. So it's a two-part response. You're not going to prompt, so you should not be worried. 4AI itself actually prompts, in the background. You don't see that, but it actually prompts in English always. But the prompt it makes are specially made so that you can put more instructions in your language if you want to add precisions, special stuff. And of course, the whole language management is just brilliant. And so we're going to see that. So in the time, thanks for the questions, because it's allowed the request to complete. So you got back that result, and what we asked for was to check the text that we provided. So obviously you're not able to see much of what they did. So we have added a show differences button, which tells you what they have done, which shows you what they have done with the content. And they have basically, cut a few things, for a few missing dot at the end of the line, and the double Y. What I find more interesting, especially for a non-native speaker, like if you're writing in French but you're not a French speaker, they have rewritten this poorly written phrase. Like there were something that would be okay maybe for a non-native, but there was not. So once you have that response, and there are a few more things here and there, well, you can either replace the editor content. So if I click here, it's going to be, you won't be able to see that, but it's going to be replacing you. Maybe you caught that. It has replaced the content editor. Or you can save this corrected text as an entirely new article. And we're going to see more of that when you talk about language. Or you can just copy it to the clipboard. And then you can, so I'm going to go back to the raw response without showing the differences. And then you can either modify the response, do something else on it, or you can get back and change the request again. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to switch to show something else. One other thing I'm going to skip on these ones. One of the things I wanted to show is the change of style, because I find that quite interesting. So when you select change the style of a piece of content, you can then select a style, professional, simple, etc. And from this text here, we can ask it to change the style. So I'm going to switch to a recorded request, because I just want I just want it to be a demo, a quick demo, but it's going to take about the same time as the spelling, because again the time it takes depends on how much text they are going to output. So if we do that, and I didn't, so it worked. This is much faster because it was recorded. So it has supposedly rewritten the text in a more professional way, and this is what it did. It removed, for instance, the word scary and replaced it with daunting and so on. So you can see there's I'm not maybe able to properly evaluate that, but this is what it does, and I believe, in my experience, that it's been pretty decent. Okay, one of the things that's worth mentioning, I forget to mention it, but a big benefit of using this technique here from 4AI, from inside your Joomla website, of course, is that it respects your HTML, your styles, your titles, and so on, which is not something that's really easy to do if you just want to take this content and put it into ChatGPT and get results that you can copy back or paste back. It's not going to be that easy. By being inside of Joomla and using an extension such as 4AI, you can work on it. You can have your content be modified or even created, summarized, whatever, and control how it works and control and be sure that you're not destroying your website layout and your content markup. So Anna, you were talking about translating. So translating is one very interesting thing we can do. I'm just going to mention again, but because I I didn't do it. If we go back to spell, grammar, or change style, you can specify here a language, and you can see it knows pretty a lot of languages. And this is just a list that I am pretty sure the OpenAI API can handle today. And I'm also pretty sure there will be more languages added as we go. These are the languages we have identified as already well spoken by 4AI, by the API behind it. You may notice also that this is a multilingual website. So we've put the the 3 languages of this multilingual website at the top so that it's more easy to grab. So if we go back to translating, well, it was really simply you write a content, you get your content and you select the language and you ask it to translate it. So I think I'm going to write it in French. That way I can test it. And then if you have stored it, it's going to be very quick. So when translating like that, you get actually 3 things. You started from your article content, and then 4AI has that translated. So that's what we are asking for.
Nice.
But then we also actually ask it to generate a title and a meta description. So to be clear, we are not asking it to translate the title and translate the description. We first ask it to translate the content, and then from the translated content, extract or create a title and create a description, because it's a much better process than trying to translate a title and so on. So once you got a translation, you can, like before, you can replace the editor content.
Now those buttons we can't see because they're behind your picture. All we can see, we can see is save as. There we go.
Yeah, sorry about that. Okay. So yeah, so you got these save as new article, replace editor content, and append to editor. So you can use these 2 to just use the translation in the current editor. But most of the time, you're going to start from an existing article, and you want to translate it into another language. So that's what we want to do here. And when you want to do that, you have now the translation, and you click save as a new article. And so when you do that, I already had a translation for the. I already had a translation associated with this English article. So 4AI saw that, and it tells me this item, this one here, the original, already has a translation, which is this one, and is, instead of saving as a new article, is going to update the existing translation. It reminds you that. Here is the title, the translated title, and here is the translation, the meta description for this translated item. And you can also select whether you want to save it as a French translation or an all languages translation. So you just save, and it should hopefully work. And you can click here to see the new article in a new tab. By default, new translations are unpublished. So I'm going to close that and go back to my main window. I can do that also for Dutch, which is the 3rd language. And if you translate that, you get Dutch. I trust it's pretty okay. 2 weeks ago, I I presented this at Joomla Day Netherlands, as you mentioned, and they were pretty. I mean, there was no shock about what.
It looks good to me.
Yeah, it looks good to me too.
I mean, as far as that, my ability in Dutch, that is bang right on.
No, but I can tell you that the French is really, really good. Really, really good. A passing remark is that for AI is available. It was available from day one in 22 languages, because I used OpenAI API to translate it. So it already
Nice.
speaks your language. And again, I cannot speak 22 languages, unfortunately, but I'm pretty okay in French, and I can tell you that it's spot on. There was basically nothing to change to what I read. So this article here, there was no Dutch translation already. So it tells you, when you say save as a new article, it doesn't tell you there is already a translation for that item. But what it does is that it offers you, it identified which category is already associated with the category of the original article. So it can pre-select the category where to save the translation. And then you can obviously change that if you want. You can select any content category where to save the content. So you can save that, and now you have sorry, you have a new article translated. And if I go and open this article, which is unpublished, I can see two things. I can see that well, there's obviously the translation itself properly formatted already. You can see that in the title is there, properly translated, and the meta description is already there. And you can also see on the association tab that all the associations have been properly managed straight from for AI.
You know, the meta description just automatically being there and entered and done is worth the price of admission for me. That's I said a while ago to someone that I wished that there was a button in Joomla I could just click on it and it would do a description for me, and then I could just look at it and do it. So
yeah, so what you see here is for when you translate. I'm going to switch now to creating new content, where you have that as well. And we'll see later on the SEO tab that you have that available for existing content. So anyway, now I'm going to go to create. And there I have identified a few things that can help you create content. I have to make a disclaimer here. It's that I'm not entirely sure that creating content is the best use of AI today within Joomla site. And I'm not sure I have good examples of that, but you've seen hallucinations, you've heard about hallucination, and it does happen. So you have to be extremely careful about about what the kind of content you get out of this. It can still be pretty useful, and I use it, but you have to be very careful about content. So when you want to create content, again, to prevent you to avoid that, you have to do actual prompting. We have identified currently 4 types of stuff you can create. A paragraph, which is basically 1 or 2 paragraphs about something, a raw text, if you will. An email, it's called an email, but in our context, it's likely most often going to be a newsletter, like have it write something and paste it into ASCII mailing to send to your users. An outline. An outline is just the skeleton of a blog post, and you can ask it to create such skeleton, and then you can expand that later with the other features to get a full blog post. Or you can ask it to create a full blog post, which works sometimes depending on your topic. It always works. It will also always provide you with an answer, but the answer may not be that relevant always. So you most often will have to rework the output. To help in getting a pretty good content out of that, we need to guide the prompt to the API, and that's why we are offering here something that comes from SEO. These 4 types of content are four types of content are the traditional four types of SEO content that we find on the web, and by selecting one of them, they match common goals of people searching things on the internet. People want to search for information, some answer to a question. They want to find something, a website, or something in general. They want to investigate a person or a product, or they are one step up and they want to complete an action. They want to do something. And these are the four types of content we find on the internet in terms of SEO. And so by selecting one of them, you can guide the prompting. You can also select the writing style, which might change a lot. You can write in any of these content. And you can, with the more options, you can have optional focus keywords. You can ask it to work on something. And I'm just going to prepared a small prompt here. So the prompt you actually write here when you want to create something is really simple. You only have a few words or a couple of phrases to paste here or to write here. This example about wanting to write an email to introduce our subscribers to 4AI, our latest extensions, and powered by the same APIs as ChatGPT. So very quickly, the more info options lets you add additional optional focus keywords, and we can instruct it to write an email that's focused on ChatGPT. And there's something else that we have found is that it's very good to specify where you actually work, what type of topic is your organization about. So in our case, the topic we want to talk about, the main field is Joomla website management. If you have things like that, if you want to send an email about bicycles, you can say as a main topic that you're a shop that sells bicycles, or you can say we are a company that do bicycle repairs or stuff like that. That helps keeping them on point, but it's optional and you can get pretty good results already. And you do have a custom and the ability to give custom instructions if you want the results in one format or another. So we have configured our email and we're going to get it. And so it works. We have when you configure it, when you're searching, wanting to write an email, you get a title, a subject for our email, and you get the email body as a HTML. So it works. I just wanted to mention that it's an interesting example. I just came up earlier today with that, but it's a good example of how they are going to the AI is going to write things anyway, even if they don't know they're going to write things. So I had a prompt about 4AI that tells just basically the name. It doesn't say anything. And they come up with a whole lot of things, describing a whole lot of things that they think 4AI is going to do, but it obviously is nothing to do with what 4AI does. So this is the kind of thing you want to be careful about when you are asking it to create content.
I heard the other day Christopher Justice shared on his Facebook page that a friend of his had been fired for using ChatGPT at work. I don't know what the context was, but then he gave this quote. He said, "Tools are tools, but work is wisdom." And I thought that was a really good quote because, the AI is great for generating things and outlines a great time saver, but we need to use wisdom and read through everything and put our touch on it to make sure. Was on the weekend was visiting with my nephew and his family, and she's in the medical field in the province of Alberta, and she's also a lawyer as well. And she talked about a lawyer down in the States who used ChatGPT to put together an entire brief for submission to the court, and it even footnoted cases and everything. And he submitted it without reading it, and then when it came time to appear in court, the defense pointed out that absolutely everything that was cited did not exist and was not real. And so he had some apologizing.
It's happening. It's happening right now. the judge asked them to come up and explain what they did, and they are supposed to appear in court for possibly being sanctioned on the 8th of June. So it's happening. Everybody is talking about it in the AI community right now. It's a very important and important case. And basically, they did read it. The problem is that they trusted ChatGPT. And the worst thing is that when the defense first said, but we can't find a trace of the cases you're citing in your documents, and so they went back to ChatGPT and asked it, but are these cases real? And ChatGPT, of course, said yes, they are real. Of course, they are real. Here are some more details, but that's a made-up answer. Totally made up. Remember, it's a probability. So if you ask ChatGPT, is what you said earlier true? The most likely word after is it true what you said is going to be yes. So that's what's that's what's make ChatGPT reply to you. It's not that it thinks it's true or not. It doesn't know whether it's true or not. It's just that yes is the most likely answer after what you said earlier. Is it really true? So keep that in mind. And that's why I think in most cases I find that these tools are much better at transforming existing content, and much safer maybe at transforming existing content than actually creating content. Like an email is going to be okay. I could rewrite that, keep the structure and change the features, and it's going to be helpful. But I just can't send it right like that. Transforming content is pretty good. So you got your email, and you can just copy paste it to a clipboard, or you can replace the editor content if you are in ASCII mailing, and so on. So the next thing, and you're going to be happy with that, I would like to switch to SEO. So there are 3 features in SEO: writing page title, writing meta description, and SEO keywords. So let's start with the page title. I'm not sure I have done something with SEO keywords, but we'll see. So page title is very simple. You provide it with content. If you don't have an existing content, you can paste it here. And then you ask it to create title. So of course, it would be too easy to create just one. So we actually cause it to create 3. And then you can copy the one you prefer to your clipboard, or you can click replace title, and it's going to be replacing the title here.
Wow.
That's going to be great.
That's going to be great, even just to go back and review existing content so that you have better titles.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't do that for the meta description because it works the same with the meta description. So you got several descriptions, and you replace. It's going to be replacing the description. So I wouldn't bother doing that for the description, but I would probably bother for the title, which are more important for many reasons. Okay, so that's pretty straightforward stuff. And again, you can just if I clear the input text of the actual editor content, and then you can. I don't know what I have here, but you can ask it to. You can just paste in some content, some text, and it will write a description for you, or propose 2 or 3 description. So let me close that and reload it, so we get some text. The last thing here, I'm not sure I have recorded. I'm going to try and do that live. So keywords extraction and finding related keywords. That's a very important topic. I hope it will not be too long. So one thing you can do if you're really into SEO is use these to extract keywords. So it took the text we had, and it created 3 things. We prompted it to create 3 things. So first, it listed the keywords in your text, the keywords that are actually in your text. And second, it found a small number, like usually 8, 10 at most, of related keywords that are supposed not to be in your actual content. And then it Sorry, and then it also try to suggest a hashtag. So the interesting part for me here is this, because obviously it can help you. First, you can replace the keywords. So this is going to be doing the same. It extracted some keywords from your content. You click here, and you got the meta keywords filled in your Joomla editor. The keywords are not useful for SEO at all, but they can be used by the related articles module, and that's one interesting use. That's one use inside of Joomla. The other use, which is more external, and also that's also the related keywords interest here, is that you can maybe take some of these if you found them interesting and useful and maybe worth putting them back in your content. So you could ask it to say, I'm a company that does clothing care. So yeah, I didn't think about using the word clothing care into my article. I'm going to put it back. So I'm going to go back to transform, and I'm going to ask it to rewrite for the clothing care keywords. That's one use. Another use is to search for linking opportunities and for ads. To use these as keywords, you can put ads on, that sort of thing. So it's pretty useful in that respect, but it's dedicated to SEO. And then the last thing I'm going to show you today is about social and ads. There's actually I haven't done the ads really. I did it, then I removed them because it's not useful enough in my opinion. So for the ads, for the social, what you can do is starting from either an article or something you write. I'm going to close this so that I get the article. I'm going to close it to get it back. Starting from an existing piece of content, an article or something else, you can ask it to write a Facebook post, some tweet, LinkedIn post. And when you do, so you got options that are dependent on what you want to do. You got more options, including the text style to use, again, the language. So it means extremely easily you can write an article in your own language, but now you can create a Facebook post, or you can tweet about it, or do a LinkedIn post into another language. And that works pretty well because again, it's transforming content. It's not about creating. And so it's very, very good at that. I'm going to remove that and I'll show you, I think, later. So I'm going to, just to speed up because we've been here for a while already. So you ask it to create.
We got plenty of time. We're good.
Yeah, but it starts to be boring, to be honest, after a while.
Well, then they pause the video and come back to it.
Yeah. Okay. So I have that recorded. It's not related to the article because it's a recorded one. But this is what you're going to get. Something that's ready to copy paste to Facebook, including some emojis. The number and the style of emojis depends on the style you selected here. So if you tell it to be professional, this is in AI we trust, means that you let it do what they want, but then you can direct the style a bit more, which is usually what you want to do if you're doing it in a professional setting. So we have our Facebook post. I think I'm going to go. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So what it does here is that it for AI prompted the API to create the text of a short Facebook post, and then it provides you something that you can copy and paste into Facebook because it has the link of an image, the image that it found inside the content, and also the link of the actual page you want to share. So it makes it very easy to take this block, copy to clipboard, go to Facebook and share and write a post on Facebook. You got pretty much all the information that you want. The other social net, LinkedIn. Yeah, I didn't mention it, but let me do it live. Actually, I'm going to just redo that live.
Anna asked the question: would 4AI work on content in UTheme Builder?
Nope, it does not, because UTheme currently, well, I'm not saying it won't. I don't have the information needed to work with them. They are not following UTheme and SP Page Builder, basically the main two page builders. So far, I haven't been in touch with them to see how we can exchange their editor content and how this can work. So I'm pretty confident it can be done, but it will take a bit more time before we can achieve that. That's on my list. I want to contact them. And there's also a number of extensions where we can do a better job by extracting information from these extensions as well. Think about if you have an e-commerce extension, then on a given page, on a product page, we can already work with the Joomla editor if you're editing your product description. But for AI, hopefully soon, we'll be able to gather the product price and the product title and a few things like that, the availability maybe, so that we can feed more data to the AI. So it's going to happen, and likewise for UTheme or Speech Page Builder. I hope.
So right now it's just if an extension uses the editor.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Any extension using the editor is going to work, and if not using the extension, then you can always copy paste.
Copy paste. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Yeah. So you've got that, and you got this information. So now if you go to tweet, we have a bit more. No, did I? I don't remember. Well, yeah, I was not.
You're doing LinkedIn.
But yeah, I was. Yeah, so what I wanted to show is that because we prompted it to ask a question, it didn't just write a post about the content of the article, but it ended it up with a question. Have you ever had a bad experience with bleach? Share your story in the comments below. And the reason we added that option to modify the prompt is that it's a very common tactic to be used on social network to engage people a bit more, and it works for some topics. So this is an example of where if you do it with 4AI, it's super simple because you say end with a question. If you do it directly with ChatGPT, aside from the formatting and extracting the images and all of that, you would have to do more prompting, write more stuff, and do more back and forth to get your question at the end. That's part of the automation that 4AI brings to the table. Now, LinkedIn post is really similar, so I'm going to go just to tweet. And when you you want to ask, you've written the best blog post in history, you want to tweet about it. So 4AI can do that pretty well. It has two modes. It can generate either a single tweet or a tweet thread. I hope you're familiar with what tweet thread is. So that's a basic option here. You also have, I didn't mention for the other ones, but you can give custom writing instructions and specify the main topic you want to write it. And of course, select a language. So again, you can tweet about your English article. You can tweet in French very easily. So if I remove these additional options, the first thing here is we're going to ask it to generate a single tweet about this particular bleach, using bleach for cleaning your laundry. It should not be too long. Yeah, it's rather. I mean, it takes a lot of time, in my opinion, but it's rather quick for if there's only a few words to be generated like that. So when we generate tweets, 4AI prompts it so that it generates the tweet, some hashtags, And if you copy that to the clipboard, you'll get something that you can use already inside of Twitter and write your post as you like. But with Twitter, we can actually directly tweet it.
Oh wow! Yeah, I was just going to ask. If
Yeah.
you had plans to make it so that you can do it directly. So
Yeah, so it will need some editing because with Twitter we cannot you need to take, this is the link to the image, so you need to remove that. Actually, it did. Well, I prefer to you can sorry, no, I'm going out of my way. Yeah, so you have the image already, and
they picked it up from the article.
yeah, because it was there. And so from there, it's pretty easy. If Weblur was about clothing and dry cleaning, I could actually just click here and tweet that one tweet directly. And in terms of tweet content, it's pretty okay. It's really best practice in most cases. I didn't mention it, but it's a single tweet, but it offered you 3 versions each time, so you can tweet any of them. And so the other alternative is for longer or more complex stuff, you can ask it to generate a tweet thread. You can select the thread length from 2, 3, 4, 5. The length is not exactly accurate because AIs have a very, very difficult time to control the length of what they write. So if you ask them to write 1,000 words, that's not going to happen. They're going to write whatever they want. It's really difficult to control the length of their output. There are ways, but it's never accurate. But generally speaking, it's going to work. So we ask it to generate a tweet thread, and let it be fun. We're going to ask it to generate it in Spanish. That way I can at least control roughly what it's saying.
Just while that is going, let's see. Vinny had mentioned about the lawyer. He got in trouble for ChatGPT, just going down through chat. So I don't know if that came up before I mentioned it or not. Bjorn says, never believe words without references, just like Wikipedia was in the beginning. Anna says the social media feature is awesome, and Bjorn says nice of that, and Anna's super happy about a collab with Utheme in the future.
Yeah. The thing is, the thing with the lawyer and the references is that the lawyer in question, they asked references, and ChatGPT provided them with absolutely perfect references with all the names, the numbers, the serial numbers of the cases, in which courts they appeared, and all of that, all the legalese thing that's happening. So it was perfect. They should have checked it. That's the problem.
Yeah.
It didn't check it, but it was perfectly. It was just perfect.
Anna asks, when tweeting and generating hashtags, will it consider popularity of hashtags?
Nope. No.
Okay.
Remember, ChatGPT and all of these things, they have no idea of what's happening in the world. No idea. They are just processing texts. So they have some. Let me put it this way. They have seen a very large number of tweets, and they know that if you tweet these words, then these hashtags are going to be likely to be put together with these words. That's how they work. So they know they have no idea which tweet is popular today or which hashtag is popular today. Absolutely no idea. And obviously popularity is something that changes, and these models they don't change. ChatGPT has been trained up until roughly the middle of 2021, so it doesn't know anything about what happened after June 2021. There are ways to update it, and Google Bard is actually much better at that because it's much more. It has much more recent data, and I believe the Google Bard is going to be much better in general, but they don't know. So no, what they are figuring out hashtags based on is your text, your content. And so in that case here, we have a tweet thread. So when we are in tweet thread mode, it does split the content in my case, 3 tweets. It adds this icon here for a tweet thread, and it numbers them. There are hashtags on the first one only. And then you can, likewise, you can tweet them as we've seen before.
Nice.
Okay, that's pretty much it for me. Yeah, again, I've shown I've displayed the chat. The chat is working quite nice. I have questions here that I wrote before. You can use it to ask for a quick stuff while you are doing other things and you don't want to open another window. As you can see, the chat is they tend to be much faster on the chat. I think they want people to not be bothered with waiting when they are using the chat, because the chat is it's how they attract people. So yeah, how about Carton, that sort of thing. So you can ask details, information, references to something you want. I still would advise that you get basically that you go to ChatGPT or Google Bard or something like that when you want to chat, because the actual ChatGPT or the actual Google Bard will always have the latest information, the latest version of the model, and the better one. It's worth mentioning that in all cases, on all these pages that we've seen, if you open the additional options, you have 2 settings here: the imagination level. So for AI, pre-select this number. Technically it's called the temperature, and this is what decide on how wild the AI is going to be when replying to you. So if you put it to 0, it's going to be very factual. It will not try to invent anything. And if you put it up to, I don't know, anything above 1 is going to be like poetry and really wild. I tried going up to 2, and you basically get random words. So don't use that. Let's say if I'm here at about, and you can it's a setting. I don't think you can change that. How about linen? No, I've never done that live, but we'll see what happens. So you want to be really, yeah. Bleach can be used on white porcelain linen that is labeled set to remain on color text. Yeah, that makes sense. That's okay.
Well, yeah, because we're experts on linen.
Yeah, absolutely. You want to be careful with that. It's not something you would touch normally.
Yeah.
4AI has preset values for each type of job. So like when you're translating, you don't want to have a lot of imagination. You don't want to invent or change things a lot. For example, we are at 0.1 when translating. When we create, we go a bit higher than that, but most of the time between 0 and 0.5 is going to be is where you want to be at. And there's another setting that I added recently in version 2.0, is that we have a setting here for higher quality or faster response. So if you select faster response, we call upon another model, the older one, that DaVinci 003 from OpenAI, which is not as smart, but which is quite okay and pretty good for many things, and it's going to be significant, maybe twice as fast as the highest quality, which is the current GP 3.5 Turbo model. So it gives you leverage. You can use that to if you think it's too slow. As we can see, in my mind, for all the transformation operations, you're fine still using the highest quality. I also don't know how things work based on the country you're in. I'm not sure they. I'm not sure they go at the same speed, or they throttle their API at the same speed in all countries. Maybe in the US it's faster, for instance. I don't know that.
Okay.
know that. So, aside from a reminder that you can do pretty much the same thing on the front end, that's it for me.
Great. Well, that is pretty cool. Let me
Yeah.
try to bring myself back in here.
I'm going to stop sharing my screen if I can manage to do that.
Yeah, let's see. There we go. Stop that. That puts us there. I can't
Let
see.
me video
There we go.
back on.
Well, that's amazing. You know, I've said it before. You are Joomla's SEO and SEF expert, and you're the what Nick is to backing up. You are to search engine friendly URLs and SEO. So I really appreciate that. And so I mean, it's amazing the features that you've got in there. I have one feature idea that came to me, and of course it's going to be a really stupid one, and that is I would like to change on that little button that you click on for the assistant. I would like to put a picture of something there. And if I can name the assistant instead of for AI whatever, name it Bruce or something like that, that would be fun. But I'm quite sure that you have many more important things to code. So
it's funny you say that, because when you start getting into that sort of things, there's just plenty of things you can do with these and other things that are happening now. And one of the things I played for like a couple of hours and I tried is that it's speech recognition, because that comes to mind when you start dealing with that sort of thing. So it's not available there in browsers, and only Chrome can do that, and it doesn't work all the way. It's a bit complicated. Or Chrome and Chromium-based browser. But it would be fun that instead of having to click on that icon or pressing Ctrl-Shift-4, you could say, "Hey Joomla, show me the plugins. Hey Joomla plugins. Hey Joomla global config. Hey Joomla something like that." So it's not there yet because again it needs browser support. But
yeah, Bjorn said to just override it with CSS.
Yeah, it's well, like, but that's an idea. Like you could because to be honest, this tool is mostly geared toward end users.
Yeah.
Like people writing content and maybe people writing their own, managing their own website. Not so much for website integrators, which, first you're not maybe always responsible for the content, and you're not going to tweet on behalf of your customer, at least not all the time. So it's really meant for them. So it has to be really simple, but it does make sense that you could, like if you're using for one of CyberSalt's customers, then you could put the CyberSalt logo on it, for instance. So,
well, and
it's going to be horribly expensive if you want to do
that. Anna says she loves the 4 Weebler UI and brand identity. It's beautiful and clean, and Bjorn agrees. As I think about it, like I have someone. I add an article every week to one of my sites, and I have someone who's adding it. He's not an English. His English is good, but he's not an English first speaker. So after he adds the articles, I think my wife, who puts together the newsletter for me before I send it out, has sort of reads it over and checks it. So this would definitely just be a great way to streamline that, and it's probably an example too of how AI is going to change things, because they're already, I'm talking about, hey, I could use this instead of having a person do it, who's taking more time. And so like any technological advance, there's it's going to take away jobs, but it's also going to create new jobs, and that's just
the way I see it in that particular example, for instance, would be typically, or what depends, I guess, on the degree of quality you are aiming for, but my idea would be more that Susan would still review the text and writing the newsletter, but then instead of reviewing the raw text, she would review the output of 4AI, because this would reduce the
You're,
work.
you're basically proofreading and tweaking.
Yeah,
So.
exactly. You can check the change, see everything is okay, and anyway, aside from a few things, it's always going to be needing some review by someone who is qualified. I believe so. I mean, I'm sure many people will use ChatGPT or for AI without any control and just to churn out a lot of content, regardless of the quality. But that's not what I'm in to this for. That's not the goal. That's not the goal. The goal is to increase the quality. It's not really about SEO. SEO is a small part of it, but it's about increasing the quality for more people. And to be honest, I'm blown away by the translation. It's the quality of the translation. That works well.
Cool.
The only thing that didn't manage to translate properly to French was the saying I used, which is "in AI we trust." So that's hard to translate.
Yeah, and
it did something that made sense, but
but that's cultural. Well, it's not cultural. It's a colloquial, is it? Or
I know
because we're basing it on the text on the American currency. So
yeah, exactly. So it's difficult, but the rest is fine. Yep. Okay. So.
All right. What's next? What's your next extension?
Well, I got quite a few of them already, and without speaking about other extensions, the next thing in 4AI is going to be image generation, like creating image based on prompt or based on actual content. So, but I need to experiment a bit on that, and then I have work to do on for SEO because things are not stopping around me.
Yeah.
And then the next big thing is probably search. Improve search, because every CMS and every website they are going to using ChatGPT, they are going to improve vastly their search. So that's probably the next thing I want to look at.
Cool.
So most certainly.
All right, last thing, and I don't know if you put it there as an Easter egg, but you have a British Columbia license plate on the wall behind you.
Yep, it is exactly. I lived in Vancouver for basically 2 years. Remember?
Oh, I didn't know that.
That's the plate. That's the plate from my car.
Yeah, because I was watching and I went, "What the heck? That's a BC license plate." So
it is. Actually, I only have one left. I got back with two, but the other one was lost in translation, let's say, over the years. So yeah, it is actually. It's the one left license plate from my car when I was in Vancouver.
Oh, cool. Did you ever make it over Vancouver Island?
Oh yeah, quite a few times.
Nice.
Quite a few times. Yeah. I know the place.
Oh, good.
I was in White. If you know that, I was in White Rock.
Oh, in White Rock, yeah.
Like by the border.
And for those of you who don't know about White Rock, there's a big white rock down at the beach. This is this huge, oddball white rock that is just there, and they must keep. Do they? I don't know. Anyways,
there's still the train. Actually, there's a train going, across the beach. Actually, it's
right along there. Cool. Well, okay. Thanks for being on a third time. You're always welcome to come back, or if you've got things you want to show, or it doesn't have to be something new, it doesn't have to be something long, but always have enjoy having you on here. Anna says thanks, and Bjorn's already said thanks, and this is going to be a great session, and thanks for a great extension. So everybody, thanks for tuning in today. As usual, I hope that wherever you are, be it morning, afternoon, evening, or tomorrow, let me find my button, that this finds you well. And until the next time, enjoy your Joomla sites, and God bless.